GiantKiller here, bringing you a walkthrough of my super fun Aggro Warlock deck. We've been showing some videos of this deck in action lately, and I have made a couple of updates to it since I posted it on our site, so I figured I would do a video walkthrough and talk about a few of my picks. So we're just going to kind of go down the list, and I'll talk to you about each and every one and what they're good for and why they're in the deck, and maybe sometimes why they're in the deck over something else. Alright, we're going to start out with Soulfire here. This is an amazing tempo card and a fantastic finisher. At 0 mana, it lets you do it while keeping up with whatever else you're doing. So that means that at the end of the game, you can use it for the last 4 damage to finish somebody off, but it also means that in a pinch, you can use it to keep up your tempo and remove something you don't have another answer for. Moving on to the 1-drops, we've got an amazing suite of 1-drops in this deck, some of my favorites in the game. We got the Blood Imp and the Flame Imp. The Blood Imp is arguably one of the best 1-drops in the entire game, buffing up your entire board while staying in stealth, so it's really tough to get rid of, especially if your opponent isn't running a lot of mass removal. The Flame Imp is an amazing 1-drop. 3/2 for 1 mana is fantastic speed. The 2 damage to your hero is not a big deal because you're going to be trying to kill them a lot faster than they're trying to kill you most of the time. Leper Gnome, this is a switch. I had Elven Archers in here before, but I decided to put in the Leper Gnome because I just love that almost guaranteed 2 damage to the face, and he trades up with a lot of the 3/2 2-drops. Voidwalkers are fantastic, again, just so efficient at 1/3 for 1 mana. You got a total of 4 power and toughness for 1 mana, plus taunt on top of that. They're not super aggro minions, but they're really good at defending the rest of your little guys so they can keep beating on your enemy's face. Demon Fire is really useful in just about every situation. It's hardly ever a dead card. You're either using it to buff up one of your little guys so it can do some more damage, or take out a really dangerous 3/2, or finish off something that one of your little guys beat on. It's good for all those things. Always worth it to run 2 of those in a Warlock deck, in my opinion. Acidic Swamp Ooze is a really great 2-drop. We're moving on to the 2-drop minions now. With all of the dangerous weapons you're going to see out there, you've got warrior decks running Fiery War Axes and Arcanite Reapers. You've got the Paladins running the True Silver Champions and the Swords of Justice. Rogues are getting into the action these days with the Perdition's Blade, and Shaman usually are packing the Stormforged Axe. There's almost always going to be something that you can break with this Acidic Swamp Ooze. If you're playing against a character that does use a lot of weapons, it's almost always a good idea to hold on to this if you have anything else you can play, to wait for them to use one of their weapons so you can break it. Fairy Dragon is a really, really good 2-drop, one of the better 2-drops in my opinion, because it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. That's pretty huge. You're thinking about you're dropping it on turn 2, they can't answer it with something like a Demon Fire, for example, or a Frost Bolt from a mage. And not being able to target it with hero powers means that a mage can't finish it off if they do 1 damage to it with something else. Moving on to the Knife Juggler, these guys can just take over games if they aren't addressed immediately. They have a really, really good reputation for getting immediately taken out with removal as soon as you put it down on the board. These things are not likely to survive. Sometimes you can have a Voidwalker out there to protect it from enemy minions on the board, but your opponent's going to do just about everything they can to get rid of this guy. So sometimes, if you think that's going to happen, you may want to hold on to him until you can drop him and a couple of 1-drops in the same turn, so you guaranteed a few knife throws. Otherwise, if you want to get rid of some removal, just put him down and see how fast he can die. Novice Engineers are great for card advantage. They give you a small body, which combos pretty well with a Knife Juggler because you're going to get a knife out of it, and they give you another card. It kind of keeps your card engine going. Moving on to the 3-drops, we only got 2 3-drops in the deck, and they're both Shattered Sun Cleric. Shattered Sun Cleric is one of the best things you can do with 3 mana, in my opinion. Right now, they are just incredibly strong. I can't think of many 3-drops that I would rather have than a Shattered Sun Cleric. They're going to come out... generally do not want to play this unless you've got something else they can buff, and when you do, then you're getting a total of 4 power and 4 toughness for 3 mana, which is just incredibly efficient. Moving on to Hellfire, this is in here really as kind of a response to the meta. Right now, the meta-game, at least at 3-star master level, seems to be really, really aggro-heavy, and maybe that's just me, but in my experience, you're seeing a lot of lobies, a lot of aggro decks, a lot of going straight for the face, and this is a great way to come back. I've got a video up of me playing against another Warlock, and he just absolutely goes nuts with 2 Knife Jugglers early on, and the only way I was able to come back and win that game is because I top-decked a Hellfire at just the right time. So these things will absolutely save your ass, plus they're great for pushing through that last 3 damage. Sometimes you stall out, have no other way to get 3 damage through to the face. Hellfire will do that for you. If you happen to have your Leper Gnome out, it's going to be a total of 5 damage to the face because you're going to get the 2 from the Leper Gnome Death Rattle. Moving on to the Chillwind Yeti, just an amazing, amazing efficient character at the 4-drop. One of these can really change a game. They trade so well with just about anything the opponent's going to have on the board if you drop this on turn 4 or better yet turn 3 with a coin. Something the enemy just absolutely has to address, and a lot of times you're going to see him spending 2 cards to do it. They're going to play some damage out of hand or trade two other minions into it so they can finish it off, because they do not want you sitting there with a 4/5 when they don't have something of equal power and toughness out there. Dark Iron Dwarf, another incredibly great value character. More on the offensive side, he puts +2 attack on another minion you have out there. One thing to keep in mind, if you don't have another minion, note that he does not say give a friendly minion +2 attack, so if the enemy has minions and you don't, you can end up having to give one of their minions +2 attack, so watch out for that, but otherwise he's a fantastic value for 4 mana. And I can't tell you how many times that I've finished somebody off who thought they were going to be safe by putting 2 more attack power on something and swinging in for the kill. Doomguard is another change. This was something I swapped out an Elven Archer for, just because he is a fantastic finisher. You hardly ever want to cast him when you have more cards in hand, but the general strategy is play out your hand and then drop him when you don't have any cards to discard. It's not a part of the cost. He comes out either way, and if you don't have any cards left over to discard, you basically get him for 5 mana, and he's got 5/7 in charge, so that is really, really good. Plus I got a shiny gold one and I wanted to try it out. Venture Co Mercenary is one of my favorite 5-drops in the game. 7/6 for 5 is, again, just fantastic speed, and that's kind of the theme of this deck, is you want things that are cheap but strong. The drawbacks are the price you pay for having that kind of speed, but this one is not too bad, considering by the time you get to 5 mana, your hand should be pretty much empty anyway, and you're just in refill mode using Life Tap. There are not a lot of things that can address a 7/6 on turn 5 for just 1 card in return, so you're going to see a lot of 2-for-1s when you put this guy down. Then you've got Argent Commander, one of only 3 rares in the decks, along with the 2 Knife Jugglers, and he's pretty much agreed upon as one of the best minions in the game. One of the best things, again, to do with 6 mana, he's got Charge and Divine Shield, meaning he's an almost guaranteed 2-for-1. There's almost always going to be something on the board that he can drop down, take out, pop his Divine Shield, and then next turn they've got to address this 4/3, and usually have to spend another card to do that. Also, he's fantastic for finishing off an enemy as part of a final swing. He comes out of nowhere, really unexpected, with the 4/3, and just swings in for 4 damage that they weren't expecting and didn't take into their calculations most of the time. Now, they should, because just about every deck out there runs Argent Commander, but sometimes they don't account for it, and you can pick up some free wins when they weren't expecting those 4 damage to come straight out of your hand the next turn. Well, that's it so far for GK's Aggro Warlock deck. I'm GK, and this has been my walkthrough of the deck. If you like what you saw, please help us grow our channel by clicking like and subscribe. We really appreciate absolutely every click from every one of you. It helps us out quite a bit. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please be sure and post them in the comments. I will try my best to answer every single question you have. If you have any requests for other decks you'd like me to go through, I would be happy to try and whip one together for you. And once again, thanks for watching.